Impressed by the weird.
What's good, baby?
What's up, my boo?
Not much. I'm great.
Yeah, everything is great, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I was saying to you earlier, it's Monday night and we're in this routine. I got out of work early. We got our walk in. We went to the gym.
Yeah.
Got our walk for and discussion of the podcast. And now we're 7 o'clock and we're sitting down doing the podcast. We're going to be done by 8. Ish. But I meal prepped on Sunday. I was very productive yesterday. And now after this, I have nothing to do.
Yep.
Feels really nice.
Yeah, no. Last week was our first effort with this new routine on our Mondays. And today felt really good. It just flows really well. Next week, we're not going to be able to do it. So we have to push it to a Wednesday, but it'll still be great.
We'll end with the teaser of what's next week.
And it's been awesome. It's the full wolf moon. It's the January full wolf moon. And we were howling at the moon, as we do. Whenever it's a full moon, we were howling at the full moon on our walk. And we still don't know really exactly what we're going to talk about on this episode. That's going to become more.
I
mean, I know that we have those questions that we're going to get to. But usually we have a little bit more of a little bit better understanding with you have. I guess this isn't all that different, huh? You have questions that you're going to ask me. So I guess it isn't that different. It's just these are not questions that we came up with or the audience came up with. They're more generic questions. So I guess it isn't that much different than a normal episode, huh? We're going to talk about our weekend and how smart we are, and I'm going to answer a bunch of questions.
Well, how was your weekend?
2025 is incredible. I don't understand how 2024...
2 weeks in!
It is. 2024 was an outrageous year in so many ways. Even the challenges in 2024 were kind of fun and weird in their own way. And now we're in 2025. We're 2 weeks in, and I'm having a fucking blast.
I know.
I'm having an absolute blast with. And I'm not going to get too much into it because we said it last week. But the new this routine, my daily routine. I'm not building the business anymore. I'm operating the business now.
And you're
actually,
in the business.
I'm in it, doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, more long term, as opposed to building it out. Now it's fulfilling my service and marketing my service, and it's everything I want to be doing. We have, I guess, let's get into the weekend because we had so much fun, such a fucking awesome time.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago I saw it and it totally fell out of my mind. But then the week before, I saw Nora Impure was going to be at Concourse. And I've been wanting to see her for a really long time. And I kept kind of anytime she came to Austin, something was going on, or I just never jumped on the tickets. And then last week, saw that the tickets were still available, jumped on it. I'm on.
Yeah, okay, good.
And I basically was we're free Friday night, right? We don't have to go out and drink. We needed to do film content on a Saturday. I was I want to go see Nora Impure at Concourse, and got the tickets, and it was fucking awesome.
It was great.
It was so good.
And we had texted a few people, and we had a nice, fun little group that we went with. And I guess I didn't realize, so we had been to Concourse a bunch of times. I didn't realize, the way it was kind of described to us this time is it's always it's a project, so it's always going to be in a state of change.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
I think the screen and the lights and the screen where those adjust and those change. But I think that VIP section that's set up around the DJ, that I think is there to stay. I sure hope so too.
Because Concourse Project, I should turn towards the camera a little. Concourse Project, for those of you who don't know, is a music venue here in Austin. It's not a nightclub. It's a music venue. It's basically a big warehouse that a bunch of electronic artists, specifically DJs, although we have seen Pusha T there, which was awesome. But we've seen Tiesto there. We've seen Deadmau5 there. Who else? We saw some awesome Italian
those Italian
duo.
girls.
We've seen a lot of people there,
Yeah.
and it's always a really good show because they have an incredible sound system. They have the craziest lights you've ever seen. And it's like a rave. It's like a real. It's always good vibes. Everybody there is having a great time. And it's always been a fun, enjoyable experience. And it's
And
like
it's a 10-minute drive.
it's like in our backyard, basically.
Yeah.
And it's relatively easy to get in and out of
It
too.
is.
It's like everything about it is really convenient. It's also never expensive. And more recently, they like did this upgrade where down the center of the thing they have like this big, huge screen across the ceiling, which was like a upside down runway almost.
Yeah.
Like a fashion show runway, only it's on the ceiling and it's a screen. So it was really sick. And then the way it's now set up is like the VIP section is like behind, like a horseshoe behind the stage, and we had VIP tickets, and we're like in literally the best spot possible.
For sure.
It's just crowded enough where there's like people around dancing, but you're not like packed in shoulder to shoulder. You can move. All the bottle service tables are around that, and you're just like standing there. We had the dancer like right next to us for her. It was unbelievable. It couldn't have been a better experience.
I know.
And the way they have it set up is like, it's fantastic. I want to keep going back even more now. We go pretty frequently, and I want to go back even more now.
Yeah, and then there's also that whole outside part of the VIP section too, which obviously Friday night was very cold. But like come like the spring and summer, like that setup is going to be awesome. And it had like the outside bar and everything.
So shout out.
I was very happy.
Yeah, it was great. The show was awesome.
And she was so
great.
good. I was so happy that I finally saw her.
So much fun. It was so much fun. So that was a great Friday. And we got to bed really late Friday night, and then Saturday we had a whole day of shooting to do for, again, our new content plan and rolling out like our social media strategy and social media content, which again is like part of the job now and something I'm excited about and that I like have a lot of fun with. But it's like a lot of work. You get there and like we have to. And even though I have all the scripts and I have a really good understanding of what you want to do, once you're there, you still have to like set it up and like contextualize what it exactly is going to look like. But you have to be creative. We went there. We had plenty of free space to ourselves. We didn't really have to struggle with like the production really all that much. And like we were there for like 3-ish hours, and that was again like so much fun.
It really was.
And then we did a few other like mini shoots like in the neighborhood in different areas, but like it was so cool. It's like, oh, like this is what like I do for a living now, is like I make stuff like this, and me and you get to like go to the gym and like fuck around and be cute for like together. Like
I get to model all the exercises.
It's just like it's fun. It's like we're like I want to say it's like we're playing Instagram influencer, but like I guess we're not playing, like we're just, that's part of like the marketing strategy here now. And it was like, we had a blast.
I had a great time with it.
And even though we didn't get much sleep, like we had plenty of energy, we were looking great. We like came up with some really cool stuff like on the fly in terms of like how we can present what we want to say in these videos. And like, I think it's going to come out great.
Yeah. And it's just, again, another way of just being creative with it and like letting that creativity just flow. And like you said, like when we were there, we're like, okay, well, how does it look if we shoot it this way? And I want to demo like how how you would do this like inappropriately, like what's the good position, or like what's the good form. So showing like the good versus bad. So it was a fun shoot day. I enjoyed that.
It was so much fun. And like, there's a lot that goes into it, and you have to be like in the right mindset to do it, but I have no reason to suspect why like we wouldn't be able to continue to pull it off. It's simply a matter of like, again, like blocking off that time and making it the priority.
Of course, like we're just going to continue to plan for it. Exactly. Like we're planning for it. You come up with, like, you spend the time doing the scripts, doing how we're going to shoot it, and then we just go and get it done.
Yeah.
And that's very easy, because once we show up, we're like, okay, these are the exercises we're going to show. This is what we need to talk about. And like, it's not like we're there and being like, okay, what do we do? What do we need? Like we knew exactly. And so we were able to like get through it very quickly.
Yeah, we got to expend our energy being creative and having fun with it, as opposed to like expending our energy like figuring out what the hell we're going to do in the first place. And it was like a beautiful day too. Like we got a good walk in too, didn't we? Or did I get to walk in
I
by
think
myself?
you might.
We got to
have.
walk in
Yeah,
on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday together.
But then we also then on like Saturday night we went out with our buddy and had like such a great like night with him. And Sunday had like a full-on work day.
Yeah, Sunday was work
Sunday
day.
was a work day, but like it's not
But
work.
like
It's fun. I'm having so much fun.
I know.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. I keep saying it to everybody.
How does
I'm
it
like, I'm
feel?
so happy.
Yeah, I guess how does it feel when you
it's-
say crazy? Like crazy, like
Uh,
what's the feeling that you have?
like truly like gratitude. Like I always say, like my feelings are gratitude and presence, but like that is how I feel. Where it's like, oh, I'm doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing, and we have. When we'll talk, I think we're gonna mention like we have this Holly sale of the Holly
That
House
was the
coming
next thing
up
I was gonna bring
next
up.
week, which we scheduled the closing, and for anybody who's following along, that's been like a major like ongoing like plot
Over a year ago,
plot line.
the decision to sell.
Like an ongoing thing, which there's been ups and downs, and that's like lined up for next week now. And like of course anything could happen, but you know, whatever. At this point, it's just like whatever. But that feels really good to have that lined up. Such another like huge burden off our shoulders. And there's obviously like so much more growth that we want to do with this podcast and with the business, and in terms of revenue, and in terms of like getting more people on our team to help with like the content, for example, and help
An editor.
things. And we have all these like events like Fast Fest that we want to be doing here soon. But it's also I'm in a place now where I'm like, but this is fun. This is good. This is like exactly what I want to be doing. And it's all gonna, like, it just is all going to happen. I've known that it's all going to happen.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, it's actually, it's happening. It's not that it is going to happen. It is happening. And I almost feel like I'm like bragging when I say all of that.
Yeah.
And like people have been asking me like, how are you, man? And I'm like, I'm fucking great. Every time I see somebody, I'm like, I'm fucking great. I couldn't be better. And like, almost feel like I'm, you know, being like a douchebag when I say that, but like, it's just facts. It's exactly how I feel. I couldn't be better.
So what's one word you would describe how you feel? Great?
Perfect. Perfect.
Perfect?
Perfect. That's the word. That's the word I've been using. Everything's perfect. Even if it doesn't feel perfect, it's perfect. It's because every time that something hasn't felt perfect, it's turned out that it's been for a perfect reason.
Exactly.
So it is perfect. And everything, I just keep reminding myself that.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then...
Well, you already mentioned Holly and the closing next week. And I think there's a very interesting piece of the Holly closing.
I'm just, I wanted,
I think it's
I didn't want to brag about it.
I think this is really cool.
You wanted me to brag about this.
Okay.
Because in my last career, when I was in sales, the last company I worked for was a real estate software company. And I was in charge of this one product and this one division that was their highest revenue product, their highest profit product too. Their highest leverage product in terms of helping spread like network effects for the business, because it wasn't just their customers that were using this product, but their customers then like gave this product to all of their customers, which meant like everybody in the real estate market like had to have their hands on this thing. And it was also like when I got there, it didn't exist. When they released the product, they put me in charge of that team. And then by the time I left, like something like 25 or 30% of all residential real estate transactions in the country are using this particular product. As part of that, so Ron is a part but different from the product that I was selling. Ron is remote online notarization, which when you get this is like so boring, but when you get a home sold, you're buying or selling a house, you sign a bunch of documents at your title company's office. Typically, you have to like go to the title company's office, sit down, and like sign an hour's worth of documents with a stack of papers
Yep.
this big. And a lot of those documents need a notary. They need to be notarized, which requires like a person like present there with you, who's checking your ID. And again, like I'm sure most people know what a notary is,
think
but
so.
I'm just explaining. So,
I would hope that people know.
but it's important to the details
it's
of
the
what.
inconvenience of like you having to be there with a ton of papers to sign with someone then to witness all the signature.
And
It's an annoyance.
for a while, especially even before COVID, this concept of RON, remote online notarization, meaning like you basically do it through a Zoom more or less, was catching steam. But there's tons of like complexities with how that would even be feasible. Like how do you verify that somebody is who they say they are? If it's remote, a lot of issues there. Plus, like it can't just be done on Zoom. It has to be done like in its own portal, essentially, with like a lot of encryption. Like there's just a lot of like factors that go involved, like the security factor, the storage of this, and like the ongoing like record keeping. Because like this is real estate we're talking about. It's like those records go with the government in a bunch of different places. So remote online notarization was kind of coming to popularity, and the company was like always like, we're going to get that out, we're going to get that out, we're going to get that out. Once COVID hit, it became apparent that like, oh, this thing is actually like probably going to be really important right now because people can't be in person. And a lot of states had already like sort of legalized it without anybody really making like a push. And our company was one of the first ones to like hit that market, hit it hard. And I was in charge of, because my product was the thing that Ron was going to be within, I was like the first person to like basically help popularize like Ron across the country during COVID. And it was kind of like slow to take off because like that industry is really old school. They're very traditional in the way that they do things, and they don't really like change all that much. But eventually like it kind of caught on, and now here we are a couple years later, like we're gonna close on our house like remote online notarization, and it's
Using
like that
Ron.
and that like wouldn't I like don't, with that in particular, like I would hate to, the reality is like I personally was very integral in like bringing that to the market in a meaningful way. And like that feels kind of cool. Am I like the sole reason why it's like a part of the market at this point? No, but like I had a very heavy hand in that, and it's just cool that like we're going to be able to close remotely with the software that like I helped popularize.
Yeah, like
Kinda
I remember
sweet.
when
Kinda
you
cool.
worked at that company
Yeah.
over a year ago, and remember hearing like you talking, whether it was to coworkers or you're on calls and discussing like Ron. And then for over a year, I haven't heard that. And then yesterday or 2 days ago, you're like, we're going to close the house using Ron. And I was like, hold on, where do I know that from?
Yeah. And if you out there in our audience ever close on your home using Ron, you know who to thank. Me. Because now you don't, it's like, it's the most obviously like straightforward, efficient way of doing it. It is so much better for literally everybody involved.
Sure.
It's wild that it was even like that much of a hassle for people to like kind of catch on to it. But it's caught on now. They even like, once I said, can we do it with Ron? They were like, yeah, absolutely. Like so much better. Let's go.
Yeah. Didn't she say like, that's how people like prefer how to do it now?
I think
obvious.
I think we have to pay the fee though, which is like fine, sure. I'll pay. I think it was $55. I'll pay $55 to not have to drive out to. It was like way out by like Lake Travis.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
It was literally like 45 minutes away. I'm like, I'm not. Yeah, I'll pay $55 to not have to make that drive.
Yeah.
And I get to like click through electronically all my signatures as opposed to like signing each one and getting a carpal tunnel. So, yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm very, I don't know. It's just like, it's weird how that like worked out. Like us closing on the house, using that, something that you worked for a company that developed that. And like, that was a part of like one of your team and like one of your projects.
Another thing that's kind of cool is just like, I guess historically, but more recently, like I've talked about my sales career here, and I've like talked a lot of shit about like tech sales, specifically in the tech industry and like what a fugazi most of it is, and like admitting fully here like that I was a part of the problem, like without a doubt. Like I was basically like exploiting and extorting like small businesses like to fund some VC companies' bottom line, essentially. Helped pay
But
for these houses
I know,
too.
but also, like, do you think, like, in the moment, did you think you were doing wrong? Like,
I just convinced myself that it's like just how things go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think, like, you're obviously, like, a bad person or
No,
something
I
like
was.
that.
No,
But
I was. I absolutely was.
okay.
Because I knew that there's a lot of
You just played part of it.
there's a lot of salespeople that convince themselves that the product is good, or they like literally like they don't want to peek behind the curtain because
Yeah.
like they don't want to know. Which like I get that.
Yeah.
I get that too, but that's also like everything else. It's like peeking into like your own psyche to behind the curtain. Like if like people are afraid, it's just like I'd rather not know. I'd rather just like put the blinders on and move forward and get my paycheck and grow in the corporate world and not really think about it until you do. Until you do. And but I was kind of like, in certain cases, I was kind of like, yeah, like I know I'm being manipulative, but like that's
you're
how
like, it's sales.
It's sales. That's how business works.
Yeah.
That's like how this all goes. But like as time went on, I got like more and more uncomfortable. And then what happens is you're at one company and like you convince yourself at the beginning that it's great, and then as time goes on, you go, oh, this is like absolute dog shit, and everybody hears dumbass. Like I'm gonna go find the other company, and you go, the next company is gonna be different. Oh, this product I really care about, and they care about their customers, and they're changing the game, and they're saving. They're like, you know, whatever, like convince whatever like story you want to use to convince yourself of why a product is like better than the last one. Their leadership really cares, or whatever. And then like the same, you go through that same cycle, then you jump to the next place, and you convince yourself of the same thing again. But like I've talked about last time, like I'm pretty good at spotting patterns. I have a high IQ, and high IQ is pattern recognition.
Genius.
Because I'm a genius. I have a high IQ. I do. And having a high IQ is not what most people think it means. It means you're good at spotting patterns. I am really good at spotting patterns, and I'm good at fixing patterns when I see there's a problem. And by like my third company, I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, it's not the companies that are like, it's not the individual company that's the problem. It's like the big, this whole thing is a problem for a variety of different reasons. It's like, oh, I see what's actually happening here. And I, especially as I was like around COVID, which I've said, like that's where I started to lose my mind. I was like, oh, everything is fake, and this is fake too. So and that's when I really started to be like, I can't do this anymore, and that's when I started to like work my way out. Now I'm talking shit again, but I guess my point is to say,
Bring it back.
I thought I was maybe burning some bridges in that world, and a lot of my initial client base were people who like I had worked with, or like people that I knew from my network in that world. So like there was a heavy part of my like early clients came from that, and more recently, interestingly enough, like a lot of people who were my superiors, or even like my superiors, have been coming around and hitting me up for my services in a variety of different ways. Not just like personal training, but also like a lot of like the mindset stuff and beyond. So it's kind of cool that I'm able to be on here and speak my mind, and like who knows if they've even seen this stuff, or if they're even
just
aware
caught
of
wind
it.
of it, though.
But I have a really good feeling that they have.
Yeah,
quite honestly,
I think so too.
For a lot, there's quite a few reasons why I'm pretty certain that they have. But they're still willing to like reach out and be like, obviously, like I was good at what I did. I was also always like really direct and professional in even when I was being difficult, and when I was criticizing, and when I was like pushing back on things, I was always like incredibly respectful, and I knew how to handle those conversations well.
Well, for sure. If you didn't agree with something, you just didn't say like, I don't agree and like act like emotional. You were like, this is like not right because of this, and this, and this. Like you very articulate in your concerns and you're respectful in like presenting it, but you also stood your ground respectively.
Yeah.
And I think that shows them to respect you even more.
Yeah.
Not wanting to cower.
I guess like the point is just it's cool how like if you do the right things in that way, you could still be authentic. You could still stick up for yourself. You could still be a pain in the ass, because I was definitely a pain in the ass towards the end there, like a major pain in the ass. And I was very direct and very clear in terms of like what I thought like they were doing very wrong. But like you could do that, walk away with a lot to show for it, walk away like still at the top of your game, and then like have people come and say like, hey, like we see that what you're doing seems really great, like we'd like some help with whatever it is, like we'd like help
they
with
still have their respect for you
with getting in shape or helping with this or helping me with that. So that's just like another cool win like in the last couple weeks.
For sure. And
this is like multiple people too.
Yeah, and like back to the fact of like, even when you told the last company, you're like, hey, I'm like leaving the end of this year, you still showed up, did your work, led your team, didn't like do really anything to hurt the company. People at that point would have been like, oh, fuck this, I'm out of here in like 6 months. But you're like, no, I'm going to like still do my shit and like get Ron up and running. And
I also
look at it now.
I also walked away as like the top manager at the company last quarter of the year. They gave me like the craziest goal because they didn't think I was going to be
Oh
able to,
God, that's right. Did they like put you back on the phones, or wasn't there something
and they even
like
made me get back on the phone.
Yeah.
I like was just like I was just crushing.
Yeah, and that's like how you were gonna get like one of your payouts, wasn't it? It's like you hit your quota, and like I feel like you hit that like that first week.
I killed it. I'm so good. Good.
And so, they see now that you are excelling in what you're actually like passionate about and wanting to do. And so, why wouldn't they want to come to you for that?
Yeah, it's cool.
So, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right, we were at almost halfway.
You want to start with questions?
Is that everything? Is that everything we wanted to cover? And then really quickly, the reason why we're not going to be able to do this routine on Monday. Oh, you want to do it at the end?
I don't.
I'm going. We've announced this already, but I'm going to the inauguration of President Trump, President Donald J. Trump. I'll just I guess I'll just give it a minute or so. I didn't talk about this. I wasn't planning to talk about this, but
what do you mean?
I mean, just saying even a year ago, I was like, I like Trump. Would I vote for him? I'm not so sure. I don't know. I was literally like, I don't know. Everything is so such a clusterfuck politically.
Yeah.
I have no idea who is even going to be, because it's worth talking about my political views if I'm going to say, and why wouldn't I give my political views on this show? Who the fuck cares? That's what this is.
We give every view.
Yeah, you talk about everything. So. Yeah. I just think it's worth diving into. I'm going to the fucking inauguration, and people are gonna be like, "Are you people probably are curious." So, I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I voted
that's right.
I voted for Harambe the gorilla.
Yeah.
A lot of times people ask me if this is Harambe, and I go, "No, that's not Harambe. This one is."
Your father thought you lost your mind.
I have 2 gorilla tattoos.
when you found out you voted for Harambe.
So I voted.
I'll never forget that phone call. Your dad.
I voted for Harambe in 2016 because there was no way I was voting for fucking Hillary Clinton. And at the time, Donald Trump, he wasn't even serious about being president. I don't think. So. That was that. And then in 2020, with COVID, and with everything that I was seeing as far as how the mainstream or legacy media, or corporate media, whatever we want to call it, establishment media, seeing how they responded to that whole debacle. And like at that point, seeing that like his first term was outrageously successful in like almost every like measurable way. Like up until COVID, things were going outstandingly well, like for us as a country, like maybe some of the most stable years like I can remember like in my adult life. And everybody that I knew was like thriving. If you look back, like everybody that I know personally was doing outrageously well during that period of time. So yeah, at that point it's like, why is this guy being villainized? Like he actually seems like he's doing a pretty good job. And even though like they're throwing every charge that they can at him, like I'm not going to listen to that. You're telling me about like that people are dying from this disease and like I don't even know anybody that's like had it yet.
Yeah.
At that point. It was like 9 months into the pandemic and like I didn't know it. I knew like 2 people that actually had COVID.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't believe anything that you're telling me now at this point, which I think again like a lot of people had that same like breakthrough during that period of time. And I was already like kind of in that vein, but like now that made it like abundantly apparent. So I did vote for Donald Trump in 2020. Then there was like the Stop the Steal stuff. And like to this day, I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know if.
The January 6th? Is that what,
no, like whether like whether they cheated
like the like
in the 2020
finding
election
the Georgia
or not.
votes, like that whole thing.
I'm willing to bet that there was some cheating. But like, was it enough to make him not I genuinely don't know, and I'm not going to speculate on this. My guess is that there probably was cheating, but I genuinely don't know. And then there's January 6th, and then there's all this other shit. And at that point, I'm just like, dude, everything's a debacle. I'm not I'm not interested in this anymore. Like whatever. It's all dumb and fake anyway. So then we see what the fuck happens over the last 4 years, which is just pure lunacy. Like start to finish, it's like absolutely insane. Like everything about it, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but like just the fact that like the dude was like, Biden was like decrepit and nobody was willing to say that he was. And then all of a sudden overnight,
all of a sudden
he's got dementia. And then like all of a sudden everybody was saying that Kamala Harris was like incompetent. And then all of a sudden she's girl boss, like
she's
queen,
Brat Summer.
whatever, like
she's a vibe. Go ahead and vote on a vibe. See what happens.
Like that shit is insane. And then you see that they're trying to shoot at Trump and kill him, and you see the entire system coming at him. And to me, it's just like, listen,
that was crazy.
In the world that we're in today, it's like that's the guy that we need as our leader. We need a strong man as our leader. We need this guy who like is honest, he's authentic.
Yeah,
that's what he is. He's authentic.
Yeah,
we need that guy, and I'm like, I would say probably, halfway through 2024, I was like, yeah, I guess I'm going to like have to vote for Trump. After the assassination attempt, I'm like, yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah,
without question, and I'm happy to say it. I'm proud to say it. And when he got elected, I was genuinely like overall grateful, but also like it gave me like faith in like humanity, like to a certain extent, where it's like, oh, like not everybody is like fooled by all this bullshit that's like being thrown our way. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is like our savior or anything like that. To me, it's just like, oh, okay, like people aren't as dumb as like I thought they were, like especially coming out of COVID and like what I've seen over the last 4 years. It made me like have a restored faith in humanity, a restored faith in our country.
For sure. I mean, look at it was the electoral vote, the popular vote, like everything swung for him, which was like, to your point, people I think woke up and realized like what the fuck is happening? Like what spell have we been under for 4 years? Or not all of us, but some of us have been for 4 years. And believing that like this is all to be true and that Biden is competent and like all this shit that we were being told.
And to see like even now in the last couple months, like how the media and everybody else is sort of just like cowering now. They're like, they're not even like willing to put up a fight anymore because they see like that tides have sort of like turned to
Yeah.
some extent. They can't even like really like defend themselves at this point in their like original opinions. Like that also makes me like very happy. And like the word I was using was like joyous. Like I was genuinely, and it feels weird because like I'm not like that big. I'm not. I voted for her fucking Harambe. I'm not big into politics.
No, even like during, sorry, like probably 2023, like when it's, you know, people are starting to talk about like the election and the midterm vote and everything. And I remember bringing up politics. You were saying something. You're like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't fucking care. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And like, but then all of a sudden, yeah, it was for you.
Because
like,
it was about something bigger. It wasn't
Yeah.
about politics. It wasn't about like Republican, Democrat,
Yeah.
or like electoral. It was literally about like, are we going to allow for this? Are we going to allow for like this complete like inception of like what truth is and like change things like and what I will say is like and not just the way the media has responded, but then the way Mark Zuckerberg has come out and pretty much been like
Oh my God.
a pro-Trump guy now. Like, not that I care all that much about Mark Zuckerberg, but like he's saying that like the new content moderation policies and
well, and like also what the last administration was doing to them.
Yeah.
Like that
it's crazy
whole
too.
thing of like telling them what they can and like what they have to take down, who they have to ban is fucking insane.
And then like the Hunter Biden laptop story is like another example, but then RFK and all the things that they're going to do for like health,
for sure.
and with
The food,
with the food. I mean, there's so many reasons where this feels like a really huge shift, and it feels like a big enough culture shift where it's like I would like to be at the front row for it and I would like to show my support where it's like, hey, I'm a proud American now at this point, which like I can't say that I have been for like quite some time.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually like a proud American. I'm here and like I'm all for this, and like I feel like I should be like openly showing support for that in the same way that like I think it would be like cowardly and disingenuous for me to not be stating this right now. And I had no plans to like mention anything like this. We didn't talk about me saying
we didn't
any
talk
of that.
about this at all. But I think it's
I'm happy I did.
it's authentic.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you're going to the inauguration for that reason.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a big deal. And I can't wait to talk next week about the inauguration.
So yeah, because I'm going to the inauguration, I'm going to one of like the, I guess, private inauguration parties, which I was invited to, which is cool. And
you look so good in your suit.
I look great in my suit. And I don't know what else to expect, like really there, but I'm planning on having a really good time. And even if I just get to be there for the revolution and I get to, you know, salute or I don't know, clap or whatever,
just clap.
I'm going to be very, very happy about it. Yeah. So USA, 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 USA.
DJT. DJT.
See, like but like I do love the guy though. I love the guy, but I'm trying to like not make it as much about him as just like about
what it stands
the
for.
movement and what it stands for.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest
Although
thing.
I do like Donald Trump. I'll say I love Donald Trump. Every time I watch that guy talk, I'm like, this guy's a fucking man. He's the man.
And I think like say it was somebody who was up there who was anti-establishment, anti like what we've been told and what we've been seeing in politics for our entire adult life.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't matter the person. It's just like what that person stands for and what they represent.
It just so happens that this guy
is like
got shot at, pumped his fist immediately after, said fight, says whatever the fuck he wants, has gotten everything possible thrown his way to try and like make this not happen, and he still is victorious. And that's the guy you want as your president. That's the guy you want in charge of your fucking country. Yeah. I'm sorry, you do.
And they like have like villainized him, of course. So like that just even adds to it.
Yeah, it's the guy you want, especially right now, especially with the way the world is right now. That's the guy you need.
I know.
You don't have to like it.
You don't.
But you gotta respect it.
All right. Anything else on that one?
Well, that was fun. That was a fun little.
Yeah. Yeah, you just killed like 10 minutes on that one. Are you ready for questions? All right.
Okay. So why don't you introduce like specifically what these questions are?
Yeah.
Like, what they're
So last week we teased on it, but one of my friends sent me this post, and it was an entire reel of like all these questions ending 2024, going into 2025 that you can sit down with your partner and go through. It's just like a fun little exercise. So I wanted to do them on here with you to then, if viewers want to like take some of these questions, some of them are just for yourself, some of them are of course with your partner, and it's just a fun little exercise to do.
Okay. So I'm going to answer them and you're going to answer them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's
Ready?
go. Yeah.
All right.
Are they in any particular order?
I can shift them up, mix them up a little bit.
Give them a shuffle, baby. Let's go.
I say we put them in a bucket and pull from them again.
Should I get high before this? Should I go take a puff of weed before we?
Sure.
No, that's a bad idea.
Okay.
I was pretty high to begin with.
Okay. First question. If you could relive one day from 2024, what would it be and why?
Ooh. There's a few days I'd like to relive. But you know, you experience it once, and like that's the joy of an experience, is like you experience it once, and then like you learn from it and you move on. You either get better from it or you learn from it.
Do you have an answer?
Did I get high? I told you I was high.
Yeah, thank God you didn't go smoke more.
It's hard, you know.
What?
Okay, if I could do something over again.
I'm paying attention, don't worry.
It's a hard one because it's kind of like something positive. It's kind of like I want to earn it again. I don't want to just like go back and live it again. So, what are you gonna say? I'm sorry. I'm
like we have a stack of questions. I would relive meeting Joe Rogan and that night at Comedy Mothership.
I figured you would say that.
6/24/24. That was the date. Because that to me was like, that was after like my mushroom, like my macro dose.
Yeah.
That was in like my truest, like I truly figured out like who the fuck I was, what I was wanting. I had my voice, I had all these things. And then that manifestation comes to be true.
Yeah, that was wild.
Like,
so
in the green room.
Give the quick synopsis of what that story is.
So we were supposed to go to a dinner that night. Ended up going to Kill Tony, VIP, walking through the green room, having drinks in the green room at the Comedy Mothership, and ended the night meeting Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And for years I've said, when I meet Joe Rogan, but like I've said that so many times.
You've said it on this podcast.
Yeah. And so like when that happened, I was like, this is it. Like this, like I'm creating everything I want to create.
It would be a cool thing to relive because it was so surreal that like I see it as like a dream. Like I don't even, I barely even like think of it as being like, I was like, it was very surreal.
Yeah.
I was like having an out of body experience.
For sure.
So that would be a cool thing to relive.
And that's the question.
To me, it's kind of like and I think based on what I remember about these questions, I think a defining thing for me in 2024, like 2024 was the best year of my life. Every year,
so far,
up until this point, of course, every year, man, probably since like 2018, 2019. Has probably like continuously been the best year of my life.
Yeah.
But 2024 was like an exponentially better year than the year before. And the year before that was like an actually exponentially better year than the year before that. So like, it's like gotten better and better. With that being said, like the defining moment for me in 2024 was my lowest moment. And it was like the panic attacks that I had for a variety of reasons. And like when I'm thinking about these questions, that series of events, that series of episodes that I had over the course of a month, maybe a month and a half.
Like that early
something
summer.
Like that, early summer, June-ish in July. That is like was really like a pivotal experience for me, pivotal moment for a lot of reasons, as well as like how I responded to it and rebounded from it, and like the changes that I've like implemented since. So one of the things that like, if I was gonna go back, and I'm not one to want to go back for good or bad reasons, but if I was gonna go back, the day that I and relive something, I would like to relive the day that I had a panic attack in the gym and walked out.
Yeah.
Because I would like to have a do-over.
Why would you want to have a do-over of that day?
Because I would like to be able to have like not had that had that reaction, and see if I would be able to like handle it better in that moment.
I like, not again, this is like your day that you want to relive, but like I would almost want to like debate that in the sense of like,
please, no, go for
you having that moment of your absolute low, then calling me, then turned into you taking a giant like
I know.
like a bunch of mushrooms and then finding like what was actually like the underlying problem.
I know. And I think I'm not saying that I regret that it happened or that I wish it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I would just like to know now what that same feeling would feel like right now.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have gone through. I guess
Okay, we're really parsing like the terms
okay,
of these questions.
all right. You want to relive that day.
But do you see what I'm saying?
But you want to relive that day now knowing what you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. I want to see like with the strength that I've gained since then and knowing what I know since then. Yeah. It's not, do I want to relive that day? Not necessarily. I want to experience and I don't want to experience that.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. But like rather than going back, like there's so many awesome things that I would love to relive from last year. But I don't want that. I want to earn good things. Okay. The bad thing that beat me, I want to go back and have an opportunity to overcome that, which now I feel like I have the capacity to. Does that make sense? But your point is that's a perfectly valid point. I'm not saying that I'm unhappy that I went through it, because I did come out stronger.
Yeah.
That's what challenge is. I just want to, but like maybe the point is I would never get to that point. Maybe now I would never have to get to that point.
Yeah.
So
and maybe like there's also been on like not really noticing it, but times where you're feeling like you're about to get to it, but you're like, hold on, I know I have. Yeah.
That certainly has happened.
Yeah.
Like more than a couple times since then.
Yeah.
Where I was like, whoa, I'm getting that feeling, and then I can like reel it, I can rein it in.
Yeah, because you know where it's stemming from
and to do about it. Yeah. So yeah, maybe I have. Okay. I don't know if that's a good answer, but like I'm on the spot here. I don't know.
All right. What's one thing we've learned to appreciate more about each other this year?
For you, so I think like everything, man, I appreciate everything about you more and more, like literally every day. But I'd say it's like all proportionate to one another.
Yeah.
So like I continuously grow in appreciation for you. Something that jumps out to me is what I would say is the answer to this question. I don't even know if I can like explain this appropriately, but we've said in the past that you bottle things in, your negative energy, and it like is really palpable. And then a lot of times like it turns into like a crazy like explosion, and it's like very negative, and we have to figure out how to like ways to diffuse that. But there's certain times where you let like negative energy like again like explode out and like do damage. And
lasers.
Yeah, and in the past,
my fire breath.
And in the past, you had no control over that, so I really didn't like it because like it would hurt me and it would hurt other people and it would like hurt situations. So I didn't like that, but because more specifically in the last year to 2 years, you've gotten that under more control. When you do have a negative outburst, it's more controlled, it's more pointed, and it's actually like useful in sometimes. Like when you want to be like snippy with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not even like sure if I can think of like an example right now off the top of my head, but there's certain times where like just like anybody, like you need to apply pressure. You need to be like, a
little bit more forceful.
a little more forceful and assertive. And I think in the past you like had a lot of that energy and you weren't wielding it effectively. And I think more recently in the last year or so, you've wielded that more effectively where I don't get scared when you're using it. I'm like, sick 'em, baby.
She knows what to, and I think I agree with you in like my sense of like the ability to hone that energy like when it's appropriate and like pull that in when I need to.
Yeah.
Because it's usually like, yes, it is forceful. Yes, it's intense, but there's more reason to it.
There's more intentionality behind it. And also,
and it's not just me fucking reacting.
And the other part is like, because you're basically like, you have the energy of like a roast comic. You also have learned how to take those negative energies and turn them into like really funny like jokes and roasts that you don't throw at the person, you throw at me.
Yeah, I never. Yeah.
And like, while I sometimes have to be like, babe, that was mean, a lot of times it isn't really funny too. So you've learned how to take all your negative energy and channel it in like meaningful,
in a
intentional,
creative way, like a comedian.
Creative and creative. And like it's also mean. And if you let the person hear it, it would be really mean. But like you let me have it, and then I absorb it, and then I
laugh with me,
laugh
because
with
it's fucking
you, and
funny.
then I turn it into something.
Oh my gosh. Well, something
Do you like that answer?
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. Something I've learned to appreciate more from you is exactly what you're saying. When I was having those moments, or I'm having those moments where I can't control it, you do a very good job of grounding me and bringing me back down to that like you always say like, your eyes are going, because it's like you can see it in me and you note it and you see it quick. And there are times that I'm resistant to it, but you're like, babe, and you just do a great job of grounding without like belittling me or making me feel irrational or emotional. You recognize that I'm like having a moment and you just bring me back to center. So I appreciate your ability to do that, because you de-escalate me.
Yeah.
Which is very important.
Yeah. Cool. I like that.
Yeah. Next.
Yeah.
All right. How did work challenge you, and what did you learn from it?
Let's see. I mean, dude, like everything was a challenge.
I was
going to
say, like, you challenged yourself for work.
Like, I had to build a business from scratch without even knowing what the business was going to be. Basically. And the whole thing was a challenge. Like, I had to figure it all out. I would say like the biggest challenge, which I've pretty much already mentioned, is like the figuring out the processes, operations, systems part to make me efficient and make sure that like everything's like sort of like done, and so I don't have to like work on the business. I can be like involved in the day to day.
Yeah.
Because like long term, of course, like we want to have an enterprise where I'm not working in the business. I'm like the CEO, figurehead of the business, visionary of a business. But like, that's not right now. Right now, like as the coach and the Instagram performer and script writer, and like I want to be doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that is like how we build the brand, is like through my voice. And like by working with clients, of course, directly. So that is what I want to be doing, and like building out those systems and operations is like a drudge for me. But like it was necessary. And I would say like that was probably like the biggest challenge. Is like just like sorting through all of
Yeah,
it.
and
Just like working through like what it even looks like.
For sure. And I think like in the beginning, like when you started it, you went like, you got all those clients quick, and then you're like, fuck, okay, how do I create this into something where I'm not feeling like I'm running in circles?
Yeah.
So like that was a big challenge, because then you had to figure out, how do I make this sustainable?
Yeah.
And again, building out like the programs and like
And like
the systems.
And it was almost, that part was more of a challenge than like figuring out what the business was going to be. What the business is, and even like the components of the business, like pretty much fell into place just by me like having fun and doing the things that I wanted to do. It was the operations part that like required me to like sit down and like tinker with ideas and like get in a Word doc and like come up with the concepts and like break it down and like put it back together again. Like, so that was like the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know, like if I had like necessarily a work challenge.
Okay.
I really don't like.
Well, I would just say like your time.
That was going to be my thing, is if anything, it's more, I've realized, because my dedication to Restora and obviously to like the business we're growing, it was that constant pull of myself in all these different directions and where I needed to be and what I needed to focus on. And something that's always been in the back of my mind when I'm just thinking of it all is the time that I have. And like, where do I put that time? Where do I put that energy? Feeling like I can't focus on something because something else is going on at Restora. So it's, for me, I had a lot of challenge this past 12 months of finding time.
Yeah, I get that.
And like, anytime we ever talked about it, I would like get emotional about it. And more recently, in the past like couple of weeks, I really feel like I've turned that page.
Yeah.
And I feel like even just in the past like week, I'm very much like this release of tension that I've had with it, that now when I'm talking about time, I'm not getting emotional, because I'm just like figuring it out and making it work to be sustainable.
But remember this. We like literally said that in like a couple episodes ago, the one that was like the first one where we were sitting at the Christmas tree, where you were talking about like that night that you were getting out of work and it was late and we had to go to the thing, and we had like a whole next day booked, and it was like nonstop, and you were, and I said, babe, like this, this is temporary. Like this is not, you feel really like you're running around like crazy right now, and you're thinking that there's never going to be a light at the end of the tunnel, but like it's the holidays, things get busy around the holidays, and you're saying that like, you need like this at work for more help, and you need like pressure relieved like here, and I'm like, that's all going to happen. Like it's going to take time. It's not forever.
No.
And like right now feels rough, but like you're just dealing with it right now, and like you're going to get through that. And like I think that helped, like, because then it like helped slow things down and put things in perspective.
For sure, it did. And then it also ignited me to be like, okay, well, if I don't do something about it, then like nothing's going to change. Yeah. And I, like, there was like a Saturday or Sunday, I basically was like, I need to pick your brain on how I have this discussion, because there needs to be a solution. And you helped me kind of come up with what needs to be discussed and what needs to be put into place so that the pressure is relieved and that I'm happy again going to work. And
look what happened.
And and it all worked out.
And that's what happens when because you were focused on the future. You're focused on, it's never gonna it's never gonna end. It's never gonna end, as opposed to just focusing on like what?
Right now, the present.
present.
And also what you can contribute to find the solution to fix it. Because or else, like, if you're not saying it and you're not coming up with a solution, or in a calm, rational, non-emotional way, bringing like these issues up and then coming up with a solution is obviously going to help resolve it.
You could, like, the thing is, it's so easy to go, work sucks. And it's like, work sucks. Like, okay, hold on. Did work suck? Does work suck always?
Yeah.
No, work doesn't suck always. It sucked today. Well, did it suck all day? well, no, it was just like the hour that I had to stay after sucked. Okay, so like you had a shitty hour.
Yeah.
It's like when you kind of think of it like that, it's like work doesn't suck. The day didn't suck. In fact, that day ended up being great. Mm-hmm. It was like that hour kind of sucked. And if you just like think of it that way, it's like, oh, like I'm making this whole thing out to be so much bigger and so much worse than it actually is, that I'm actually like not even able to see like what the relatively clear solution is, which is like I have to do something or I can do something to fix this.
Yep.
And you are the person to make that fix and make that change, and you did. And like it sounds like everything's going to be better now, so fantastic. Yeah. Do you think that we should save some of these for like next time, or do you want to do a couple? Want to do like a couple more and then maybe save a couple for?
Sure. I mean, for sure. I mean, I have.
How many more are there?
Like.
Because it's
about 10 more.
How about we do like 2 more and then we save the other 8 for next episode? Do you hate that idea? You could
No, not at all. Because there are a lot. So which one do I want to go to next? Let's end on this one because this one's a deep one. Okay. How did you feel about?
So this is the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you feel about your overall energy and mental health this year?
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't know, I guess. I feel like you're going to say you feel great about your energy and your mental health. Like, you probably feel like at your optimum right now, despite like you having those low moments, but you like figured it out and got through it.
Yeah.
That's what I would think you would say.
Why don't you answer first? Or do you have something great to say?
I always have something great to say.
I
what
know,
the fuck
I mean,
was that?
I mean, like, I didn't know if you had like you wanted to end on what you wanted to say.
Oh, you want to close it out?
No, I'm saying
Okay.
like if
No,
you.
but you can if you want to.
Okay.
I feel like my overall energy, I feel very just energized for what is happening and what has occurred. There are definitely, of course, times.
Your energy's great. Your energy's like outstanding.
Right now?
In general.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Like you wake up earlier than me. You're like constantly like sometimes I'm just sitting here on the couch. You're like always like your energy. I think that I have like godlike energy, and you maybe have this energy. Much more energy than I do. You have like
I've goddess energy.
You do have goddess energy. You do. No, I'm not saying that you don't. I'm saying you have like one step above.
I know, goddess energy.
Okay. True.
Yeah, I feel like my energy has been good. There have been, of course, times and days I felt like very low, just like we were talking about, like with the work stuff. But in general, very energized for what's happening and what's to come. That's my lightning bolt on my hand. That's what that represents anyway. And mental health, I mean, I feel great.
I think you're
like
it's
I'm
stellar. I think you're like
happy
clean
when
as a whistle.
Yeah, I'm happy. I feel very spiritual. I feel very connected to the universe. I feel very connected to something higher than myself in this like physical world, and therefore like my mental health feels fantastic. And I like to be leading that by example. Like when I'm at work especially and the day is crazy, I really try to just stay in that positive and bring that light to it. Because and just also just to people in general. So I'm very happy with how I'm feeling this year.
I thought you might say that. For me, again, like energy wise, like I don't know even how I have this much energy. I don't know how I have this much. Like I feel like I am energy. Like I truly feel like I'm more energy than I am matter. And I feel like that differential shifted like a couple of years ago where I became like more energy than matter. But like every day I feel like I'm like getting more and more powers. So I am energy. Like I'm pure energy. Even though you're just a little bit pure, your energy is a little bit pure. So that's how I feel as far as energy goes. And again, that's at 37, about to be 38.
You gotta stop talking about your age.
But
you've been doing this a lot recently, and I'm just like,
but it's more for like other people's sake to say like, don't use age as an excuse. It has nothing to do with age. I don't do steroids. I don't do TRT. I don't do peptides yet, although we might soon.
Heck yeah.
But
Restart.
That's more for like my joints, honestly.
Yeah.
That's more for like that kind of thing. Not for like an
Repair
energy
some
perspective.
cells.
I certainly don't do Adderall or any bullshit like that.
Nope.
I've never done cocaine in my life. I don't do any of that. I do a lot of coffee. I love coffee. I do drink a lot of coffee. I don't even do nicotine. So I am like, this energy is like from the food that I eat, from the sun, from the sex that we have, and from, I don't know, good clean living. But in terms of mental health, this is a fun place to end. I already mentioned panic, and like now it's gonna be weird because now like the whole next episode I'm probably gonna talk about panic attacks too, because like I know a lot of those questions, like that was the thing that was coming to my mind. But like it is what it is.
Oh, I know, these are
it was kind of like a monumental moment for me.
For sure it was. I think because you never were like, oh, panic attacks and anxiety, that's like...
I didn't think that it was like something that I would ever have happened to me.
For sure.
I thought that I was impervious to it, and that you're a pussy if you get it, or get one, or get them, or if you have anxiety, like you're a pussy. I'm like, everybody has anxiety, like get over it.
Yeah.
But in terms of my mental health, I think in some ways, like having that was a good thing for my mental health, because like it like I had to acknowledge like what was happening with me, and like that I was running myself up against a wall, and that I needed to fix something. So like I don't see that as like necessarily negative for my mental health. If we're talking about my mental health, and this has like been an ongoing theme like with the podcast, but like every day I get like just a little crazier, just a little bit crazier. And I'm saying crazy by like society standards.
Yeah.
Every day, like there's something that happens where I go like, only a crazy person would think that, or only a crazy person would do that, or only a crazy person would say that, or like only a crazy person would believe that. And I'm just like, the more that I lean into that stuff, the better my life gets. So like I've said in the past, like there's probably like a part of me that like could be diagnosed like clinically bipolar. I think, because I know that I know when I feel like, and not in a real bizarre, crazy way, because like I don't get like crazy manic and then crazy depressive, but like I know when I'm going through those swings, and I can like feel them, and I can acknowledge them, and I can like dial it in, and like it goes in like a cycle. Maybe I'm not bipolar, because I think you have to probably like hit some really wild swings to be called bipolar. But like, I know that I have that. I know that it's there, and it's like I just prepare for it, and I just like maintain that like sense of presence and gratitude at all times, and it allows me to make sure that pendulum is not swinging quite so far. And then, like, there's a part of me that goes like, dude, are you schizophrenic? Like, are you like the things that you're thinking are a little out there. The stuff that I watch on YouTube about like like Bashar, for example, and some of the things that like I tune into, and like the one that like we had, like one I had on last night, it feels like something that like only a crazy person would like actually watch. But the more that I just
but I don't think so, because it's all like it's spiritual stuff, and it's like,
I know it is, but it's one thing to like understand the spiritual stuff. Like I genuinely am like living by it. I'm out in the street, like I just have care. I have such little care for like what other people like think about me, as long as I'm doing like what feels right to me. Where it's like we'll howl at the moon. I'll scream in the middle of the street. I'll roar in the middle of the street. I'll dance in the middle of the street. I'll just do whatever. And it's like the more I just lean into like that craziness, like the better my entire existence becomes.
And like they're calling it craziness, but you're just leaning into like what you're feeling.
Yeah, I know.
And like that's okay to feel, because when you don't accept that feeling and you don't process that feeling, you bottle it up.
Yeah.
And then it explodes in the wrong way.
But I think so. I think my whole point here is like, if we're talking about mental health, is mental health happiness, or is mental health being like diagnosed with something in like the DSM? Because like in terms of like overall happiness, my level of presence, my level of gratitude, I am fucking on a rocket ship right now. I'm so happy. I'm so truly blessed. I like tell you every moment I have, like how much I love you and I love our life and I love our life together. I tell my friends how much I love them. I tell my friends how happy I am. I said it earlier today. But like, you could probably diagnose me with like a dozen things if you wanted to.
Yeah, but then you're putting a label on it.
Including narcissism. Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So to answer the question,
your mental health can just be.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, and also it's kind of like, well, if I'm doing all those things and my business is growing and I'm making money, well, then I'm not mentally unwell.
You're eccentric.
I'm eccentric. But if I'm doing all those things and I'm not making money, and your business is failing, then you're a crazy person. So, again, in general, like I think there's just like certain things that we need to break down if we're going to answer that question in particular. But if you're asking me how I feel fucking perfect. Everything is fucking perfect. And I guess we will end on that. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Cool. I love you, boo.
I love you.
I'll see you after the inauguration. Peace.
USA.
USA. USA.
Red by